Okay, remember they're changing my voice. Again, here's another video that they're probably going to suppress, probably make anyway. And there's things that people don't want to hear, you know. They don't want to hear that it's the spirit of the white man, the Jew, and the LGBT, especially as so many people have merged with their spirit, basically everybody else. And that they've merged with them sexually, right? They are from their patriarchal lines. Look at the history of the world. Look at the history of colonialism in Mexico. They seem to have moved more slowly in Nigeria and Africa, but they're there too. All over the world, the white, the Jew, and the LGBT community has become the patriarchal lines of a lot of families through masonry, through the governments, military abroad, war brides, what have you, and a lot of times through coercion, and always through rape by deception, using trickery, confusing people about what they should do, lying to them about God, what have you. So this video is about what it cost them, okay, 26 things it cost them, and also proof that they need to scramble to reduce the damage to them and their offspring. They need to scramble to do the right thing, especially as we see that one of their motives was to get rid of people like me, and I'm the last one, and I'm the top martial artist ever. And so their enemies, in their mind at least, will all be gone. So it's what are they doing to themselves and their offspring and so on and so forth. I don't think that, I'm basically positive that they're not going to hear me out and do what's right. They're just going to keep doing their crazy eugenic thing, because it's more than just race. It's their family lines and it's themselves, right? All these people are greedy. If you give your kids the most blood, money, and ill-gotten gains of everyone in the planet, it's safe to say you hate your kids. It's impossible to miss that that's bad for them, so, it's about them being evil, greedy, crazy, what have you. Okay. So, especially the rich LGBT, rich social club people, the royals, the rich corporatists, the rich sexual sadist alliance. Okay, what does it cost them? One, the possibility of them and their offspring being right with God. So it costs them that, and that first and foremost, the possibility of them and their offspring being right with God is permanently gone, right? As soon as I die, it's gone. They have to scramble and obey God through me, but after I'm gone, there'll be no redeemer. Okay, so anyone who didn't obey God through me in time and follow my instructions for after I'm gone, okay, is not going to heaven. And right now, that's everybody. And of course, my parents are blameless and so on and so forth. Number two, they're denying themselves and their offspring the Spirit of God. So this is a different component that's connected to it. In a sense, all this stuff has to do with being right with God. But once you break it down into various components, you see that it is insane for them not to obey God through me. So everyone who doesn't obey God through me, except for my parents, we can look at as, a textbook case of insanity. Because insanity has to do with delusions, right? Being insane, out of touch with reality. And when they are not living their life in a way that reflects that they understand the overwhelming amount of evidence in regards to how they should live their life. I mean, what is more important than how you should live your life, so to speak, right? It's because they're crazy, right? Their behaviors reflect their mind state, and they are crazy, and they come from a long line of crazy people. Okay. So again, two, denying themselves and offspring the Spirit of God, the possibility, what have you. Three, the souls of their offspring. So it costs them the souls of their offspring. I put being in God's Spirit above one's soul even. It's more important, because when we look at the two aspects to say what's more important than having your soul intact, it's being right with God. It's being in God's Spirit. Okay? So point number three, it costs them the souls of their offspring. Point number four, their souls. Point number five, denying them and their offspring true righteousness. 6, denying themselves and their offspring true justice. 7, denying themselves and their offspring true love. 8, denying themselves and their offspring true martial arts. 9, denying themselves and their offspring true forgiveness and true redemption. 10, denying themselves and their offspring true romance. Right? Their relationships are built on a lie. So it's just a lie. It's not a true romance, it's psychology. And when you follow that train of thought to its finish, you see real quickly how retarded it is if you don't see it already. You know what I'm saying? Would you marry a bicycle And, and some people, tried to marry a car, right? Would you marry a bicycle or a car and use psychology and pretend it's the most fulfilling relationship ever? So once you go into that realm of the lie, you may as well be married to a dog or a rock or something. Okay, you see what I'm saying? 11, their humanity. Okay, if they're not trying to do the right thing, if they're not good people, they don't have their humanity intact. 12, their manhood, womanhood, and maturity. Again, virtue means man. Okay, being a virtuous man, a virgin suggests that they're, a virgin woman suggests that she's raised by a virtuous man, right? Virtue, verb means virtue, but that is more to it than just being a virgin, to be a good woman, and so on and so forth. So that's just one component. So it doesn't mean a virtue. Just because someone's a virgin doesn't mean a virtuous man raised. Okay. So point number 13, their dignity. Point number 14, their honor in reality. Not honor is reputation, the psychological construct, but in reality. 15, their ability to live in reality. The more they keep falling down that path of a lie, the more they have bad judgment and they don't live in reality. Right? So one person did a study, and it's kind of obvious that the more moral intensity one had, the more mental clarity they had, and the more they were able to make sound judgments. And that has to do with mental clarity and living in reality. So 16, the possibility of having true mental clarity. So I separated these into components, right? The possibility of living in reality, their ability to live in reality, right? And the possibility of having true mental clarity. Okay, it's a slightly nuanced idea, but they're connected. 17, the chance of having a fulfilling life. 18, the chance of having meaningful relationships. 19, the possibility of having true courage. 20, the possibility of having true focus. 21, the possibility of having true intensity. 22, the possibility of having true heart. 23, the possibility of having true discipline. 24, the possibility of having true timing. 25, denying themselves and their offspring the chance to truly know that they have lived successful lives. So they look back at their lives, they joined a sorority or something, or fraternity, they got a job, they expanded their network, their family network, their corporate network, what have you, and they said, hey, you know what they did isn't really success, it's just what everyone does. It's like you learning to tie your shoes, because everyone goes to college. I think most adults have college degrees these days, and a lot of people make lots of money without one. And so it's like, okay, you got a degree, you got a job, okay, but you didn't win the biggest victories in life, transcending that inclination to conform to the evil world. So that, and you look back at life and say, hey, you know what, you're just another fool who was a slave to the corporate state, and you didn't live a successful life. And to truly know means to know in reality. So even if you hook them to a machine or something, you drug them, mind control, whatever, that they're not going to truly know that they had a successful life. They're never going to have a successful life. A truly successful life. 26, a truly divine relationship with nature. 27, their ability to get respect and reality. Oh, I guess it's 28 points. 28, they embrace the disgrace and lead their children to do the same. It's not a coincidence. It's right there with rhyme and reason. They embrace the disgrace of the evil that they're doing. So I've made videos in the past where I say, that they don't have a single one of the life principles, the martial art principles intact, right? Courage, focus, timing, intensity, heart, honor, discipline, what have you. Righteousness, justice, okay, true love, okay, loyalty, dedication, determination. They don't have a single one of these principles intact. So this costs them more than these 28 points. You break down the various components. You say, what are they giving up to slip into a psychological construct? And don't you see that there's nothing that I can do for them because of what they've done? It's like somebody in a plane that's going to crash, and there's no way for them to get out of a parachute. There's no way for them to miraculously live. Okay, they dug it deep until there was no way back. Right, the point of no return. Right, where do you draw the line? And it has to do with righteousness and justice, just like in the Bible. Isaiah 16:5, speeding the cause and seeking the causes of righteousness and justice. Isaiah 28:17, make righteousness and justice the measuring line and plume line. Revelation 19, waging war with righteousness and justice, and Psalms, and so on and so forth. The foundation of the throne righteousness and justice. The stone the builder rejected was righteousness and justice. And it comes with extreme penalties that no one in their right mind would even consider for a moment paying. But just because you have slight problems with brain function doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. You still have to pay the price of eternal punishment. And then there's also the generational reasons, why a lot of people have the problems they have, as to do with epigenetics, generational cultivation, what have you. Okay, it was foolish for them to do what they're doing. Okay, again, the title of this thing was what it cost them, proof that they need to scramble to reduce the damage to them. So they still need to scramble to do the most decent things they can do to reduce the damage. The type of monsters that they've allowed their soul to become, you know, they need to reduce the type of monster that they are, to reduce eternal punishment on themselves and their offspring. And what they're doing to me is unnecessary. Okay, nobody thinks that they're ideal. Maybe every adult on the planet right now, and most of the children, know that there's things going on behind the scenes. Okay, they know that the corporations are a sick joke, the government's a sick joke. They know these things. They see Ron DeSantis and Rick Perry and Ted Cruz and Joe Biden, the Democrats, and all the politicians, and they look like clowns, right? They see their teachers just utterly emasculated. They see their Boy Scout leaders just pathetic. They see the martial arts schools failure. They see the church, synagogue, mosque failure, the temples they go to, the spiritual movements. They see the joke the society has become. They see how it's very similar to the circus and Jack in the Box and Ronald McDonald. They see that people are a joke. They see the control freaks. They know not to look up to these people. Okay, they know not to look up to them like they know not to look up to, some dirt on the ground. Okay, thank you.